Good evening. My name is Dominic Calderisi. I'm the safety coordinator and project manager for the Rolling Meadows Park District. I'm also proud to say I'm a resident of Rolling Meadows. I've been with the Park District for a little over 3 years now, but prior to that, for 28 years, I was at the Lincoln Park Zoo as a zookeeper and lead keeper. Most of my background is with mammals, but I do have some background in birds, and I was very excited to partake in this project, and I want to thank the seniors for inviting me. Many thanks to Mr. David Ruff and his staff for their gracious invitation to share what we're doing at the other end of the block. In a nutshell, it's about learning and building of a bird sanctuary with seniors in motion and a wood shop, helping every way it can to glue it together to work as one. Joining us this evening is Terry O'Connor, with a background in manufacturing, machine design, and sales and marketing of ITW gear, cutting, and measuring equipment. Terry served as president of ITW measuring systems and components throughout the United States and Europe. And in his retirement, he went to serve 10 years as chairman of ITW Senior Outreach and is currently in his 5th year as a volunteer in the Rolling Meadows Senior Center Woodshop. He is a recent member of both the Audubon Society and the National Wildlife Federation. Working together with us in Seniors in Action this evening is Roger Fox. Roger brings with him a long history of organizing the safety and construction of major project buildings and a strong background as a professor and teacher of mathematics with the science to back it up. Roger switched to a career as a federal grant writer in Arlington and progressed quickly to that of building and zone director of Arlington Heights, generally known as the building commissioner. He went on to serve as president of Northwest Building Officials and then the director of its international board, as well as director of the Building and Fire Code Academy. He was on the job with the conversion of a large grocery chain into a senior center in a neighboring community. He knows senior buildings projects literally from the ground up. He is a volunteer and member of the Rolling Meadows Senior Center Advisory Board, while being an active member of the powerhouse woodshop located with the talent, and enjoys building things and having fun doing it. Leading off tonight's program is Mike Schredderowitz, a professional bird specialist, an active songbird enthusiast, and the former owner of 2 wild bird stores. He will be taking us through a wild spectrum of real life experiences with ideas for getting your favorites to visit your backyards. Roger and Terry will join us later on some of the how-to and more of the fun in doing it. Please join me in welcoming Mike Schredderowitz as we kick off the Rolling Meadows, as every songbird has a chance to call home. Thank you. I'd like to also mention that your questions, please type them in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the program. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Dominic, and good evening. Housing determines the bird. How do birdhouses fit into nature's scheme? Some birds are what are called cavity nesters. Their natural cavities are holes in trees, holes in the sides of cliffs, old fence posts, even the vent on your house when it's missing a.
Are you on our website yet? Okay, you're gonna go to programs. So you're gonna do programs for adults.
Okay. Anyways, they'll even nest in vents on the sides of your house when they're missing a cover. Wherever they can fit will do. Wrens like small holes. Bluebirds and tree swallows like larger holes. And wood ducks and owls like the biggest holes. A birdhouse is a substitute for these natural cavities. Wrens are our smallest cavity nesters. The wrens like a small hole, but sparrows and larger birds won't fit. This is a wren box. This is a simple one. And you can design whatever kind you like through the Woodshop, but basically they all have a lot of the same features. For example, you can see the small hole. I have a metal plate around it for protection. The side opens up for easy cleaning, and the wrens love it. They can be as simple or as fancy as you like. Birds don't care. Now, think about wrens. The male will come up early in the year and pick out a place to live. He'll start by building nests in 2 or 3 different cavities around the area. And when his partner comes up, she decides where she wants to live. And if she doesn't like the nest that he's building, she'll take it all out and start all over again. But they'll still use the other boxes that they started building nests in as a way to confuse the other birds that might affect what they're trying to do. Bluebird boxes are very common along trails and in our forest preserves. They are monitored and maintained by people who have been trained on the habits and knows what he can do or not do as far as the bluebird goes. Some simple rules that they follow is looking at, they can open it up and look at the kind of nest that the bird is building. And if it's the wrong kind of nest because it's not a bluebird, as long as there's no eggs laid, they can take the nest out and give the bluebird a chance. Some of them, as you can see from this box, the person who monitors this particular trail put a sign on the side of the box telling people, don't disturb the birds. Okay. The next one is a Peterson bluebird box. It has a larger oblong hole that is designed to discourage other species. It doesn't work. Shortly after I took this picture, a tree swallow flew out of the box. The same goes for box with a horizontal slot. Notice the 4 tree swallow chicks surveying their environment, peeking their heads out of the top. There are also boxes for other critters. Notice the bat boxes in the trees behind the bluebird box. Your backyard can be set up to be a great home for birds. The types of trees and shrubs and flowers that you have can benefit the birds. Evergreens, spruce trees, pines, cedars, juniper, arborvitae provide great nesting sites for year-round cover for the birds and other critters. They're natural tree houses. Flowers like bee balm, coneflower, hosta will attract hummingbirds. And also in the fall, when their flowers go to seed, they provide food for the birds. Your lawn is a very important part of this whole scheme of things. Try not to use lawn products that contain a lot of chemicals. Birds don't like the chemicals. They're not good for the birds. Use product that's more environmentally friendly. You could probably check by reading the ingredients on the package to see what's in it. If you can't read it, it's probably no good. Use something that's got simple ingredients in, and the birds will thank you for it. Feeding birds will attract other birds that don't nest in boxes. Cardinals will love black oil sunflower or safflower. Goldfinch and housefinch love Niger. Woodpeckers love suet. Chickadees love any seed. Don't overfeed them. You can watch and see how much seed's on the ground. If it starts to be too much, cut back a little bit on what you're feeding. And you'll not only have a little bit neater lawn, but you'll also keep down on some of the critters that you don't want. You are going to get some. That's part of Mother Nature. And every yard has mice and voles. And of course, we all have squirrels. But there's others that you don't want. For example, skunk, possum, raccoons. Those are the ones that people don't like in their yards. So, but they're going to be attracted by the larger quantities of seed that might be on the ground. Some birds are a nuisance. House sparrows and starlings are invasive species. The house sparrow was imported by residents of New York City that thought they would be great for eating the insects that were accumulating on the horse dung in the streets back in the 17th century. Starlings, somebody thought they would be neat because Shakespeare wrote about them. But as you probably know, they're very common. They tend to outcompete the native birds in many instances. Injured critters. There are places that will take care of injured critters, but they are selective. They have to be. And they will not take invasive species like the house sparrows and starlings, or nuisance animals like squirrels, raccoons, possums, critters they really can't control very well and would interfere with their mission with other, other birds and other animals. You might call them first. You have to call them first. They don't do house calls. Two rehabbers are Flint Creek Wildlife Rehab in Barrington and Willowbrook Nature Center in Glen Ellen. As far as education goes, there's areas where you can get additional education from the programs that they offer. Forest preserves that offer educational programs are very active, are Crabtree Nature Preserve in Palatine and Ryerson Nature Center in Riverwoods. Stillman Nature Center in South Barrington is also a very good source. You might have read some of the articles if you get the Daily Herald, written by the director at Stillman, Mark Spryer. The guy is very knowledgeable and his programs are absolutely wonderful. A guidebook is also helpful to identify the birds that will appear, in your backyard. These are two examples. Sibley is my personal favorite. Here's Birds of North America by the National Geographic Society. Peterson books are very popular. They're all very handy in learning about the birds. Many of these books also have available programs that you can use on your iPhones or iPads or any smartphone that have the same information on them, very portable, and they generally also offer the bird calls, so you can hear what the birds actually sound like. Another helpful tool, binoculars. You're in your backyard, you want to see the birds. A good pair of binoculars is very helpful. You don't have to get expensive ones. Binoculars can run from $50 up to $5,000. So you have a choice of what you want to buy, and you have a choice of what you can buy starting at a reasonable price. See the birds up close. There are many good nature books that you can enjoy to help you enjoy your new hobby. Some of my favorite authors are Henry Thoreau, Alda Leopold, Rachel Carson, John Muir. And don't forget your library. They're your best source for information on almost any subject and are there to help you. Now, Roger will share with you a few things about the Woodshop. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mike. For a good look and tour of many woodshop activities at the Senior Center Woodshop, I would welcome you to drop in and visit when you have a chance. In fact, I would encourage all ages to stop by with a friend or two. You can contact the Senior Center to arrange a time and a visit. Senior Center Woodshop programs include drop-off repairs, problem solving with video classes, scout support, and member projects. If interested, join now while the Rolling Meadows Community Center has the capacity. More on the Woodshop a little later. Right now, I would like to talk about building something special with each of you. We call them nesting boxes with an eye on making the right kind of nest for your favorite songbird to call home. As Mike told you, you need to know the type of bird you want or that you already have. Here we see a wren and a bluebird. Design the entrance for the type of bird you want to attract, otherwise the sparrows will move in. Many bird lovers give way and go to a larger entrance so they may have more activity. This is when the sparrows will try to take over. As tough as it may seem, you will have to shoo the sparrows away before they take over the nesting box and going to get too entrenched in your box. As Mike explained, know and select the environment. Bluebirds seem to prefer wide open fields, which lead to the selection of a hay field along a blacktop road. At one time, 6 boxes were placed approximately 100 yards apart in a first try in an attempt to get the bluebirds. Moving into the woodshop area, I would like to share a few of the old tricks we use in making difficult things look easy. In today's world, many call it the secret sauce. At the wood shop, you know it's around when someone walks out of the door after a safe and fun experience. You can usually tell them by the way they walk with a slight giddy up in their step. Our standard woodshop designs just seem to evolve. Some were made from an outside design source, while others have been designed in-house by the woodshop crew. In either case, selection from our newly created design library are free to all the members. For a first-time build, the wood is covered with tracing paper over enough wood for the part you're working on, and you do this one part at a time. With the wood and tracing paper in place, the design drawing is placed on top of the tracing paper and pencil traced so the outline of the part now appears on the wood itself. Any mistakes in tracing are easily smoothed out with either a ruler or a French curve. For class projects, we try to have a completed project available to assist you throughout the assembly steps. For any project to be considered as a standard product, it must look like fun at a glance, perform a useful service, and not be readily available commercially. I look forward to seeing all of you in the wood shop. Please stop by. You can contact the senior center, for a time for you. And now I'd like to turn it over to Terry, who will share how the nesting boxes can be fun.
Thanks, Roger, and good evening, everyone. It's been a long time since we've been able to communicate with anybody, and it's been really a tough year for everyone. We've done a lot of planning with a lot less action than any of us wanted. But the good news is we're back, even though we've got our fingers crossed these days, but we're ready to continue working hard at being another special place for seniors at the end of the street. My personal choice for songbirds is the eastern bluebird. The size of the front door is a good place to start, along with leaving a box in its natural wood state. Anytime you use an 1 3/8" entrance or larger, sparrows will more than likely be your first tenant to give it a try. As hard as it may be, I'd recommend sparrows, as Roger has pointed out, to remove them before they lay their eggs if at all possible. Bluebirds seem to prefer wide open fields, and whoever suggested the path along the Rolling Meadows waterway between Park Central and the library certainly knew what they were doing. Under the guidelines of the National Wildlife Federation, we have 95% of everything in place for certification. Monitoring and protecting nature is where we have stepped into nature's plan. While we continue to learn and understand nature's many gifts, we aren't that far away from earning a certification sign of our own. My first try for bluebirds was on a grazing pasture up Blackjack Road, not too far from Chestnut Mountain in the Galena area. My wife and I placed 6 Peterson boxes approximately 75 yards apart to give them some choices. 4 were active while they treated the rest more like a visiting platform. Some bird watchers in our Bluebird Society gave up early and went to a larger entrance for the move for more activity. This is when the sparrows take over for good. And the good news is, once the songbirds lay their eggs, they will defend it. So where does the fun begin? You can build a Dr. Seuss house, or like me, it started with the selection of a Peterson box in the oval front door design. The uniqueness of the box allows you to open the door and see the chicks in the nest from the top to bottom. With the slightest noise from opening the hinge door, the chicks believe it's mom serving them their favorite meal. They will respond immediately by chirping with their mouths as wide open as can be. If you choose to feed them, they will take whatever you choose to place in their mouths. After all, from their point of view, you must be mom because that's what moms do. Once you've completed your visit, gently turn around and look at the back of the box in the closed position. After you walk some 40 feet away from the box, watch for the parents as they return to check that things are still okay. Bluebirds in the right environment will raise as many as 3 to 4 chicks at a time, with as many as 3 families in a season from late May through August. A word of caution, wear gloves should you want to touch the nesting box. Now let's take a look at the boxes we refer to as our custom designs. This all started with a nesting box of Clancy the Leprechaun, now on display in Peggy Kineen's Irish Pub. It started as a class project in the woodshop to see who could build the best looking leprechaun, with Derek Hanley, the owner of Peggy's, as our judge. It ended up in a tie when Eric showed up with a tray full of mashed potato balls and corned beef sandwiches for all. What is different about Clancy the Leprechaun, and I hope you'll notice it in this slide, is we were able to introduce both a Clancy Senior and a Clancy Junior personality. You should be able to see the difference in this slide. This changed everything in our small world of customized nesting boxes. And when we inscribed the words on it, "Touch me here for good luck," on the top of his hat, well, it became the biggest hit we had in the woodshop. Shortly thereafter, we began to build a series of Dr. Seuss models with plans for it. They were not for sale at first, but the more we built, the more demand they came. Eunice Semple, an active volunteer at both the senior center and the library, saw them and suggested the possibility of a library connection with some of our customized caricatures. From then on, we began making decorative nesting boxes as fast as we could crank them out. One thing led to another, and Bucky the Beaver was born. Bucky with buck teeth and a beaver tail were his most dominant features. He was an immediate hit with the kindergarten group, and his tail gave us a chance for some creative housekeeping features. What you cannot see in the slide is that there's a trap door designed in the floorboards, and if you pull out the side handle, the floor drops down for an easy clean out at the end of the season. Bucky was followed by Boerwinkle, and just when we thought we were done, Nellie the Fox was talked about. But it was Barney the Friendly Owl that took center stage in closing out our custom offering. Owl Drive had a lot to say about it. When people ask, what do we make in the woodshop? My quick answer is anything that fits through the door. And that's pretty much the case. There's another item you may want to consider for a must-have project. It's an Oriole feeder that serves grape jelly out of a champagne glass. It's an eye-catching conversation piece like no other. It's a treat no Oriole or hummingbird can pass up, while your neighborhood squirrels will give it a wide berth. I'd also like to take a few minutes here on the equipment we've installed with a focus on safety and machine accuracy as our primary objective. Number one on our list was a 10-inch saw stop table saw with an automatic jamming feature that would come in contact with the blade and stop it if you should happen to have a careless move. Number two was the addition of a 24-inch industrial drum sander that can accurately sand a 2-piece 40-inch tabletop to a mirror finish and give you the accuracy as well as the finish desired for your table or your latest cutting board. After the pandemic, Victor and the CNC team was ready to assist in making some impossible things that we could only think about in the earlier months. Imagine Leonardo da Vinci's portrait of the Last Supper carved in a tree slab. It's that kind of thinking coming your way. You may have to see it to believe it, but one thing is for sure, you don't want to miss it. It's that good when you're looking for an over-the-bar kind of project. With the completion of our industrial approach, we believe we were ready to take on another giant step for seniors with the installation of a computerized woodworking system. That was a year ago, just prior to the pandemic. It's been a tough period for the world. While we've been limited in working together, we were able to continue our learning process with this highly advanced machine. Stop by and check it out. If you're looking for the Da Vinci look, we believe we've got you covered with this latest edition. In the broader view of community networking, we think in terms of a grandparent and a grandchild coming to this senior center woodshop, and each teaching the other what they had learned in life so far. We are betting on the grandchild being right around the corner with programming experience, while counting on Gramps to show the youngster a few tricks of the trade from the good old days of yesteryears. That's our goal in a nutshell. In closing, we have several senior missions we're working on. One is building a bird sanctuary along both sides of the waterway, while suggesting we name our walking paths Songbird River Trails, east and west. Another is assisting seniors in making and doing the fun things we could only think about over the past year, with a strong focus on everyday networking with our family, friends, and our communities. And thirdly, we plan to explore further the unknown benefits of computer numerical controls, both in its history as well as in its design and production of new ideas. I think you'll love it once you see what comes out of the CNC room. It's like no other. We are 4 years into the making of this special area. We believe we can make a continuous community contribution by doing the little things better, making and doing the fun things more often, and exploring areas of interest much deeper with a network of good friends. We call ourselves Seniors in Action. We hope you can join us from both sides of the Songbird Trail. Thank you for listening. I hope to meet you all in person the next time around. Thanks again. And here's Dominic. I think here's Dominic.
Okay, we have one question right now today.
Yeah.
Kristen Erin wants to know if she can buy one of the fun birdhouses.
We have throughout the year, we have specials where if we're making some birdhouses, we'll make some special ones. And when we do that, they're for sale, and our donations are whatever you can afford. But we try to make some extras every time we do something special. So stay close, be a member. You'll get on our email list, and you'll get all the information you need to get the best deal, which is anytime we come out with a program. Anything else? Dominic, you're on.
Thank you, Mike, Roger, and Terry. That was great. The Rolling Meadows Community Center and Senior Center is now open, and we look forward to seeing you. It's right off the bird sanctuary path of the Rolling Meadows, where every songbird has a chance to call home. Let's dream about a home, read about it at the library, and let's build it together at the Senior Center. Like our friend Irv said, there's no other place like it. And with a little luck and senior support, we might make Rolling Meadows the place where every songbird really does have a chance to call home. Thank you so much for your interest and support. I hope to see you again soon at the community center, and you have a safe and happy 2021. Thank you for helping tonight be such a great success. I'd like to introduce Miss Janet Collins, the program coordinator for the library.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I just want to make sure and thank all of you, first of all, who signed up and came to this program. It was so interesting and informative. I learned so much more than I didn't know much about birds, but coming into tonight's program, learning about the birds and the nesting boxes, as they're called, is was a lot of fun for me. Anyway, I definitely want to thank the Park District.
There's a comment up there for you.
Okay. Hold on, everybody. Comment, we walk the trail almost daily and are very happy to learn now that the bird boxes we see are for bluebirds. We do, however, note that red-winged blackbirds are generally sitting on top of the boxes. They are very nasty and attack as people walk by. Is there a way that they can be discouraged?
Go ahead.
You want to go
first.
together on that? Yes, that's a great question, and that was our biggest challenge. The red-winged blackbirds are a native species. We are, by law, they're protected, and we really can't do much. There's talk about next breeding season, maybe putting up some kind of signage, but that is a challenge. I'm going to invite Mike on because he probably has a little bit more insight. So Mike, please.
Yeah, blackbirds can be nasty if they've ever attacked you. Basically, what's happening there is they have a nest somewhere nearby. And if they have an active nest, the male especially, that's the one with the red wings, the female is rather nondescript, but the male can become very aggressive and he will try to fend you off. I haven't heard of anybody actually getting hit by a blackbird, but the thing is, it can be kind of disconcerting if you've never had that happen to you. The only bird I've ever been physically attacked with was a catbird that didn't like me using my iPhone and playing a catbird call on it. So he got kind of upset. But blackbirds, you got to learn to live with them because, hey, they're here. They're a native species. They belong here. Thank you.
Mike, could you point out that the nest box, the blackbirds do not use those?
Right. Yeah, the blackbirds are not in the nest boxes. They're ground nesters. So they're never going to use a box. Most birds that are ground nesters or regular nest is sitting in a nest will not use boxes.
I come from the other side of the aisle, and I got to tell you a story about Charlie. Charlie was the name of a bird, and it's I don't know if I can tell this story without shedding a tear. I'm really, maybe I shouldn't have started this conversation, but Charlie was a red-winged blackbird, and somehow my wife, bless her heart, made friends with this guy, and she would feed him every day out in the patio. And they got to be such close friends. I swear she would talk in a voice and the bird would just seem so happy. And then the following day he started, when she would go out and run some errands and stuff like that, Charlie would come and sit on the gutter in the front of the house. And when she drove in the park and drove in the driveway, he was the first to spot her, and he'd go to the back of the house and park and wait for her to come around. And Jean, of course, knows he's coming, so she's out there. She's giving him all the fancy stuff that he wants to eat. They did this all summer long. And I couldn't believe that this bird actually knew what was going on, but he does. So when you talk about the red-winged blackbirds, talk from the heart side too.
A good Irishman, right there.
It looks like Gary and Jill added a comment about the blackbirds. They said they had been hit twice, but they'll learn to live with them. So see, they have good hearts too. I just want to get back to my thank yous. I want to thank the Rolling Meadows Park District for coordinating this. I especially want to thank the volunteers from the Senior Center Woodwork Shop because they do such great work. And it's just been a pleasure to work with these guys. They're a great bunch of guys. And like I said, I've learned a lot and they're a lot of fun. And I think their goal was reached in that we have learned in different ways how we can make Rolling Meadows a place where every songbird can call home. And I think that was one of their goals, and I think it was achieved. Now, if I could just briefly give you a few updates on what we have coming up this week. On Sunday is our July concert. We have Rick Pickren joining us, and he will be performing a concert called Stars and Stripes. It is the month of our Independence Day, so he'll be performing patriotic songs and and also some official state songs. He's very talented. He sings and plays the guitar. So go online. It's a virtual concert. Go online, register just like you did for tonight, and join us on Sunday at 2:00. And the next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, on the 29th at 7 p.m., we have Robert Mueller coming. He's been with us before. He's a historian and author. He's very good, and he is this time going to talk about the Battle of the Bulge, which was the largest battle of World War II. And he brings his own unique perspective. He does deep research, and he'll bring us the stories of some of these men that fought those battles against the Germans, and some of them paid with the ultimate sacrifice. Again, that's a virtual program, so please go online and sign up and join us for that. Does anybody else have anything else to add? Any more comments? No? Okay, well, if no one has anything, I'd like to say thank you to everyone once again, and good night.
Thanks, Judy.
Thanks, Janet.